What's going on, everybody? My name is the Junior Historian, rocking you, stalking you, shocking you with something new. Now, today is going to be a story time, and we're going to be talking about my visual impairment and how it changed me and how it affects my workplace. So, let's start at the beginning. My mom had a normal pregnancy, from what I know. She was 18 when she found out she was pregnant, and when I was born, she realized something. I wasn't making eye contact, and my eyes were bouncing around, as you can probably see, and that is called nystagmus. So my mom takes me to a doctor, like a general doctor, and is like, yo, my kid is not making eye contact with me. My kid's eyes are bouncing up and down and side to side. I don't know what's going on here. The doctor gives a referral at the next doctor. They're like, your kid might have a tumor in the back of their brain, and it's pushing the brain onto the optic nerves, causing them not to see. My mom was obviously freaked out, so they gave her a referral to the children's hospital where my doctor first saw me. My mom had done some research and was like, do you think it might be optic nerve hypoplasia, ONH? They were like, it could be, but they also have to have a pituitary gland problem. So my mom went to an endocrinologist. They confirmed, yo, your kid has hypothyroidism and a growth hormone deficiency, which means you have to give your kid a shot every day. My mom came back with the results to the doctor, and in 2005, I was diagnosed with optic nerve hypoplasia. Now, I'm going to explain what that means. So, when a mother is pregnant with their child, in that pregnancy, the child does not develop their optic nerves completely. So their optic nerves are underdeveloped. And in my case, my right eye, I basically just say is blind. I always say I have just one eye. I'm Popeye in this beat, and I can barely see any motion. In my left eye, I am severely nearsighted. But at a far distance, I can see bulky figures. So if I move my phone very far, I can see I'm wearing black long sleeves. I can see I have dark hair, and I can see my skin color. I cannot see faces. The most I can see with faces is shadow on the face. So I can see a little shadow where my nose is, and I can see little shadows of where my eyes are. And when I was a kid, I was put in a preschool around 2 to 6. Then I was taken to a kindergarten. Neither of these schools had visual programs. I did get picked on for being blind. A lot of people didn't know how to deal with it. A lot of kids didn't know how to deal with it. So a lot of people were waving their hands around my face, asking if I wanted to touch their face. A lot of kids were like, why can't you look straight? So not everyone knew, obviously, about visual impairment. And mind you, ONH is a uncommon condition. Now there are many cases. There are around 100 cases. A little backstory, my father and my grandmother were having the same condition, but it was very slight. Yes, they need to wear glasses to see a little bit, but out of the family, mine is the most severe. When I was taken to Topeka Drive Elementary, if Karen Berry is still there, and any parents watching this, run away. She is an asshole. She yells at kids, okay? She verbally abuses kids, and she will deny it. Be careful of this person. She is very toxic. I would also like to say, my mom tested me for autism. I tested negative. I didn't have any autistic traits. My mom didn't believe I had autism, but autism can be quite subtle in some cases. For instance, when I'm really stressed out, when I'm scared, and I'm having a PTSD episode, I do become nonverbal. I can still write my answers, but I cannot speak. Mind you, my mom did everything in her power to help me. There were some situations that weren't great. For instance, my mom would wake me up. She had a really bad boyfriend at the time who was very rough with my brother when he was around 3 or 4, and I was really scared to wake him up. And so I'd skip breakfast just to stay away from him. Then he'd get mad at me for not waking him up. Be like, now we have to lie to your mother. And my mom and I'd go to school. Miss Barry was an asshole, would yell at me because I couldn't understand. When I got frustrated, I would cry. She would get so mad at me when I cried. Then I'd go home, spend 4 hours with my mom doing homework. She was impatient. She didn't know how to teach someone with a visual impairment. Math was my worst subject. She'd get so upset that my fight or flight, freeze or fawn would activate. She'd get so mad I'd freeze up. But I think she was justified because she had 2 kids to look after. She had me and my little brother. And she had work. So yeah, her life was really hard. Around 10th grade, I was taken to a school called the Academy of Music for the Blind, AMB. It was a good school. It was very nice. I really liked it. But I was in the car carpooling, and I was complaining to people in the car, saying, oh my god, these kids can't get their times tables right. It's 2 + 2. It means 4. Get it right. When we got to AMB, Joan got out of the car and was like, can I talk to you? She's like, do you think that's fair? Do you think that's fair? Maybe there's something going on with them. I'm like, right. So stop it. I didn't realize that kids are late bloomers. I didn't realize that kids need more time, and kids are different. So there are some kids out there who are challenged. I went back to school and I tried teaching. Sure, I was ignorant, but I did everything in my power to try to help them. So I started working with kids on simple rounding. I didn't understand all of it, but I did my best. Middle school was rough too. I didn't understand most of it, and I had some really rough teachers. I had Miss Kaplan. She would say stuff like, you know, the blind students do a lot better than you, right? And I'd just be quiet, and she's like, hello, answer the question. I'd say, yeah. She was rough on us, not just to me and my friend Marie. She was rough to all the kids. And these are special day classes. Now, in the schooling system, there are 3 tiers. Now, the first tier is general ed. This is where most students go. Their classes have a bit more homework, things are a little bit more direct, and they show you more complicated stuff. Tier 2 is called special day, which is the medium tier, which is what I was in. They still taught you what the general ed was teaching you, but they did things in a manner that was more simple. The lowest tier was called special ed. Plain special ed was for people with Down syndrome, autism, learning disabilities, the whole 9 yards. In 11th grade, I met one of the kindest, funniest teachers of my life who taught special ed. She taught us history, and she was a wonderful soul. I made a video of her, actually, and I am going to use the same name that I did back then. Miss Hudson. Shout out to you, Miss Hudson. You are amazing. But she moved to teaching her own class of special ed instead of special day. I went to her class when I was in music ensemble, and I would say to my teacher, hey, can I go to Miss Hudson's class? He'd say, yeah, sure. Because I'm already a intermediate to advanced musician. So I took care of my work, obviously, before I went to Miss Hudson's. So I went there, I met all the students, or most of the students. Some were nonverbal in wheelchairs, had multiple disabilities. Some were severely autistic that could speak a little bit. Some could speak, but were severely autistic. Some were moderately autistic, but still needed a lot of help. We were in class, and we were learning, let's say, for example, about hours and minutes. We would talk about how many minutes are in an hour, and the students would think about it. At that point, my compassion and deep understanding of these children grew. It felt like fate to me. It felt like my legacy. They were doing so well. And when I see some of these children, as an example, beginning to learn how to write their name, it touched my heart. So I kept going. I kept going until I graduated, had some psychiatric problems, but every time I went back to school, that is what I concentrated on. These children understand so much more than we do. It's like, for example, being trans. Unless you're a gender therapist, you don't know what a trans person is going through. I am trans myself. You don't know about the pain of the dysphoria. It's the same with addiction. You don't know what it's like to wake up and feel the need to drink, or when you have your first drink, you can't stop drinking it. With these children and with these adults, we will never completely understand what they go through. We will not be able to understand the way they think. We can look at symptoms and we can observe behaviors that can look like autistic traits. We don't know about underdevelopments. I graduate, barely. My mom is like, bruh, you need to get a job. Step your game up. And I was like, what do I want to do? I don't want to work in retail because everybody's going to be annoying. But I thought back to all those years I've been helping children. Like, why not, dude? I think I can do this. So I applied for a few jobs. One got back to me. Ignite Futures. Amazing company. They've been around since 2013 and helped hundreds of adults. I went on the interview, said I've been working with these people for 8 years, got a job with the tailored services as a mentor. My first client we'll call Jamie. Jamie needed help with the written driver's exam. So we spent 2 hours for 3 days a week, and she was getting better. We did the online prep tests. She was doing well. I couldn't understand her completely over the phone. Like, she would say A or B, and I would like, oh, it's A, you say A? She was like, no, B. So I felt bad. She got around 86% most of the time. She was doing great. Eventually, I got put with another client a little while later. She was going to West LA College, and she was amazing. Her fake name will be Rachel. She will tell you, I don't understand what you say. Not that it's a bad thing, but she needed a little extra nudging with understanding things. So we worked together. As we were in a class about jobs, I was put with her. Now, the thing about teaching college classes is that I was never in general ed. I didn't realize how fast it went, aside from one class in high school, which that teacher barely spoke English correctly. I barely passed that class. I was able to understand, in a sense, what this person was saying, because it was for the special ed. Later, she was applying for nursing classes, and we started working on certain terms for the body, like proximal, distal, all those fancy terms. I'm going to give you an example of how I taught Rachel of proximal and distal. Okay, Rachel, we're going to practice proximal and distal. So, what does distal mean? Okay, you don't know? That's fine. And what does proximal mean? Do you remember? Alright, that's fine. So, distal means distance, right? Distance means far away. Proximal is like approximate. Approximate means close. So, I'm going to be walking in front of you, or I'm going to be walking away from you. And I want you to tell me the medical term for when I walk back, far away from you, and close to you. So, if I go over here and I'm trying to wave to you because you can't see me all the way, what does that mean? Can't see me all the way, right? Far, good. Now what's the medical term? Good. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna give you eye contact because we're talking, right? What does that mean? Proximal. Fine. And if I walk back over here, what does this mean? What's the medical term? Distal. If I walk over here, what does this mean? Okay. Now, proximal and distal mean on the body. That was an example to get you to understand what proximal and distal mean. So, proximal means close to the, what's this called in medical terms? This area right here, the trunk. Okay, so your heart is here, right? Is that proximal, meaning close, or distal, meaning far from the trunk? Proximal, good. What about my foot? Good. As you can see, I tried to make things very simple. And that's how it is for the visually impaired. You want to start very simple. Last student I'm going to talk about, we'll call him Dennis. He was in a vlog of my previous channel. He was awesome. I still say hi to him every once in a while. But I had to work with him virtually because things weren't going right at home. We did workouts together. We worked on counting money, how to add certain prices together. We'll some prices together. Here is $5.99.
Yeah, later on it's $11.89.
We got $5.99, $11.89.
No, $11.89. Yeah, 11.
Okay.
$11.89.
That's okay, because it's closer to like $12. You can just round it.
Okay, so it's $12. And this one would be the $5.99, $6.
$6.
So it would be 11 plus 5.
11 plus 6, right?
Oh yeah, 11 plus. So yeah, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
17. There you go. It would be $17.
Okay.
I went to rehab. Things didn't go right. He needed to be with another staff member. Right now, I don't have any clients. In my lifetime, as I grow more experience, I want to be able to teach nonverbal people sign language. Of course, I have to take a sign language class so I can help them. But I'm excited. I am excited to spend the rest of my life doing this. I will never, ever give up on a client, whether it be an adult or small. These people deserve a chance, and they deserve someone who will help them wholeheartedly. And in conclusion, I have a few things to say. 1, please don't use the word retarded unless, you're a medical professional or a doctor of some sort, nurse, what have you. When you go up to someone with special needs, please don't call them retarded, because nowadays it's seen as rude and disrespectful. Please use a word like impaired or challenged. Secondly, when it comes to being impaired, there's one thing you might want to look to. One thing that is based on their impairment is their IQ. So, I'm going to give you the statistics. If an adult or child has an IQ of 80 or lower, that means they are mildly impaired. If they have an IQ under 40, this means they are severely impaired. And finally, the main point, how it changed me. Due to the people I had in my life who didn't help me as much as I would have appreciated, I want to give back. And finally, and remember, ladies, stay frosty.